Hey guys, it's me, Michael Lenoci. Make sure you check out some of my upcoming shows. Tickets at michaellenoci.com.
All right, man. What's up? Welcome back, guys. How was your Thanksgiving? Probably not that good. Because you all are hurt. You're hurt right now. I understand that you're hurt and you're frustrated and you're mad. You're mad at Mike McDaniel. You're mad. Maybe some of you are mad at Tua. Maybe some of you are mad at the GM, Chris Greer. But it's just your emotions. You gotta have control of your emotions. Right now, it just feels like you've been cheated on again. It's like you trusted your girlfriend, you believed in her, and you gave her another shot. She said, "Hey, I won't do it again. I'm here for you." And you know what? And then she breaks your heart again. You know, you envisioned this team where you're just on a beach holding hands in love, and you're happy and you're proud of them, and you want to share it with the world. And then you get cheated on again and they lose a game. And we said this last week. We said, hey, historically, we lose this game. And I warned you guys, I go, don't freak out if we lose it because it doesn't mean it's over. And I'm not giving up. And I'm not going to give up because I told you this last week and the previous week. It's my job as a fan to have hope and cheer until it's fully over. And it's not over yet. And we have a chance, and that's all you ask for. This is what the entertainment purposes of the NFL are for, to believe until you can't believe anymore. So I'm not going to go sit here and talk about the draft or talk about free agency or talk about what moves the Dolphins should make. Because right now, we have 5 games left, and we could go 10-7 and win all 5 games. I think we're better than every team left on the schedule. I didn't think we were better. I said the Green Bay game is scary, but we can't overreact. There's a lot to go over. Okay? And before we get into it, like and subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. If you don't know who I am, Michael Lenoci. I'm a stand-up comedian. Outside of touring, I love the Miami Dolphins and I love the NFL. I like to talk about the Miami Dolphins on here a lot. I actually have a tour date in Houston for the Houston game. After the Houston game, if you're still in Houston and you want to come to my show and you watch this, all you have to do is message me and I will give you free tickets. My goal is to have a tour that follows the Miami Dolphins road schedule every single year. And I can only make that happen with you guys. So like and subscribe and help my dreams come true. And maybe one day all of our dreams come true and we'll see a playoff win from the Miami Dolphins. Is it going to happen this year? Most likely not. Can we get to the playoffs? Absolutely. And that's what I'm not going to give up on, okay? Because I don't think this whole cold weather thing narrative is real. I don't think that we can't win in cold weather. I just don't think that we're built to play well in cold weather. Tua's played great in cold weather. I have the stats to back this up. But I think that our running backs they're fast and elusive, and that doesn't do well in cold weather. You watch the Monday night game tonight, right? It's hard to run, but if you have a good running game, you can win that game because the defense can't really make cuts fast. They're guessing where you're going to go. Same with wide receivers. They can't get good routes because it's so cold. But if you have a power running back that can run, you can win games. If you have a run defense, you can win games. We don't have a defense made to stop the run. We don't have that strong middle linebacker that's not soft. We don't have that. Did I take a shot? Maybe a little bit. We haven't had that Zach Thomas kind of, Junior Seau for a couple seasons. We haven't had that for years. We haven't had that with Jerome Baker, and I know that middle linebacker position isn't as valuable as it used to be because of the way people run the ball now, and it's a passing league, and you need these middle linebackers to be able to cover running backs out of the backfield and pick up some tight ends on crossing routes or crossing routes or wide receivers. But we're missing that. All right, and we're missing a power running back that when you're sitting there and it's 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 on the goal line, there's no doubt in your mind they could just put their head down and smash it through, even if you had a weaker goal line offensive line. Our offensive line is great for zone runs and outside runs and screens. These guys have to be they have to be quick, they have to run. That's not the type of offensive line that is built for cold weather games deep in December and January. So it's not a Tua thing. It's not a Mike McDaniel thing. It's a Miami Dolphin thing. It's been like this for years. We've always collapsed late in December, going back to Dan Marino. We did. Back in 1998-9. We started off 7-1. We ended up 10-6. We've never played well in December. This isn't about this regime of the Chris Greer 5 years with Brian Flores and Mike McDaniel. They've done a great job. This is going to be our 5th year in a row with a winning record. We haven't done that since. We didn't even do that with Jimmy Johnson. His first year we won 8-8. We haven't done this in almost 40 years. 5 years in a row with a winning record. Now, 2 playoff appearances is frustrating, but it's more than we have had in 25 years. But people want to forget that. They want to get upset at Mike McDaniel. He's a 42-year-old coach in his 3rd year. 2 winning seasons. About to have his 3rd. 2 playoff appearances. 2 number 1 offense. 2 years in a row with like a number 1 offense. And then now with Tua back and healthy, it's still an efficient offense where you have this window where there's little pieces that can be fixed to maybe take a shot. Look how frustrated the Bills fans and Steelers fans were last year. And now both of those 2 teams are definitely contenders to beat the Chiefs and go to the Super Bowl. But yet both of those fan bases were calling for their coach last year. Do you guys remember that? Both of those coaches could easily win Coach of the Year this year. And both of those teams could possibly beat the Chiefs and get to the Super Bowl. So don't get amnesia and forget what you have. You have something good right now. And if there's just little adjustments, and if you have to wait another year, you have to wait another year. But this group has deserved another shot with a better plan for a backup that can run this offense and be more prepared that if Tua does go down, it's not that big of a difference. Whether that's a Daniel Jones or a Kirk Cousins or drafting a young guy that is good enough that has the similar skill sets to Tua that can learn this offense for a temporary amount of time. So that's where I'm at. I'm not giving up yet. I still believe because right now we're still in it. You win 5 in a row, you're 10-7, you're sitting there in week 18 and you're like, what has to happen for us to get in? Maybe we're in that situation. Maybe we're in a situation where like, oh, who has to lose for us to get in? We could be, but we also could be in a situation where we win, we're in. I know that we're 2 games back, but there's a lot. I can go through the schedules and go through it in detail to explain to you all the scenarios that could happen. There's a lot of football left. In 5 weeks, a team could lose 3 in a row and totally be like, oh, wow, what happened to them? Look, last year, at this point, a year to this date, Miami was 9-3. So we ended the season 11-6. So listen, there's a lot. There's teams here that are 8-4, 8-5. They very well could get to 7 losses. It's not easy to win in December and January. They could easily get 7 losses, and the only one of those teams who cannot have the same record as us is the Colts. If Denver, Baltimore, or the Chargers have 7 losses, and we have 7 losses, we will have the tiebreaker, and we will get into the playoffs. The Colts is the only team who needs 1 more additional loss. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But this whole narrative that we can't win in cold games, here's the thing. Miami's 0-12 in their last 12 games where it's under 40-degree weather. And so I did a little research, and 9 of those games were during this Tua era, right? He's been on the team for 5 years. From 2020 to now, 9 games were played in sub-40-degree weather. Tua only played in 7 of those games, okay? Packers game on Thanksgiving, 30-17. The playoff game against the Chiefs in 2023, 26-7. Ravens game, 2 games prior to that, in Baltimore, 56-19. Kind of took the wind out of our sail and probably made us realize that we weren't going to go deep in the playoffs. 2022 playoff game in Buffalo, 34-31. We almost stole it, but that was Skyler. Tua didn't even play. Patriots, 23-21. Tua was hurt from the concussion against the Green Bay game. Skyler played. Tua Monday night game against the Bills, 32-29, where it was snowing and he played great. He looked great, and it was after that 4-game losing streak we had after starting off 8-3. And then before that was 2021, the Titans game, 34-3, where Tua looked horrible. It was a rainy game. It was talking about his grip on the ball when it rains. Flores was pissed, said he's got to play better. It wasn't good enough. Maybe the beginning of the end of the relationship. And then before that was earlier in the year, the Broncos, Dolphins. Broncos beat us 20-13. Tua didn't look good, couldn't get a groove going in the first half. They put Fitzpatrick in the fourth quarter. He comes back a little bit, drives down, tries to get a game-winning tying touchdown, throws a pick in the end zone. I remember these games, man. I remember all of these games. I'm like LeBron. I can remember games. Tell me a game in the last 5 years. Since we've had Tua, tell me a game, I'll tell you what happened. Who won? Did we lose? What happened? Maybe. That would be a fun game to play. The point is, who's winning those games? All of those games are first-place teams. All right? Outside of that Broncos game, Titans were a 1 seed that year. People forget in 2021 they were a 1 seed. The Bills have always been in first place. Patriots game was Skyler, so that's not a Tua game. But the Tua games were all first-place teams. Ravens, Chiefs, Packers are not a first-place team. They're 9-3. You put them in any other division in the NFL, they're a first-place team. You get my point is these are all very hard places to win. Who's winning in Green Bay, Kansas City, Baltimore, and Buffalo? Who could win in those places at home in December? This isn't about the cold weather. This is an environment that not a lot of people can win. Who's winning in Kansas City? Maybe Josh Allen. Maybe, though. Lamar's not. Maybe this year because he has Derrick Henry. But he's not. Who's winning in Baltimore? Mahomes? Maybe Burrow? There's not a lot of guys that can do this. This is a hard place. These are hard situations to win. Now, if we were losing to bad teams in cold weather, then you could be like, man, what is it with this cold weather? This is not a cold weather thing. This is playing really, really good teams at home late in the season. None of these teams are losing late in the season. Look at Buffalo this year. All right. In December, you have about 2 or 3 home games, right? Every team gets 2 or 3 home games. Most of these teams, if they're playoff contenders, are winning these games. Unlike us when we lost to the Titans last year, if we beat the Titans last year at home, we end up being the 2 seed, regardless of losing to the Bills and the Ravens late in the season. We still would have ended up 12-5 and been the 2 seed. This whole narrative would have been totally different because we probably would have won the first round. We probably would have hosted the Steelers. We probably would have played in the division round against the Bills or Chiefs. Who knows what would have happened? Maybe the Chiefs don't even go to the Super Bowl and the Ravens do. We don't even know what happened. We just weren't able to seal the deal late in December against the Titans. That's what hurt us last year. So, I mean, dude, late in the year, winning big games. Look at the Chiefs, the Bills. The Bills have the 49ers at home. That's their first one. Who's winning that game? 49ers looked horrible. All right. Then they have a home game against the Patriots, and then they have a home game against the Jets. They're winning all of these. Nobody's winning those games, all right? If I go to the Chiefs late in the season, December games, they have the Chargers next week. Good luck. Good luck. Sunday night football. That's going to be cold. You think the Chargers are going to win that game? Good luck. Chargers don't look like they're going to beat them. Good luck. Then they have the Texans at Kansas City. You think Texans are winning that game? Good luck. If anyone's going to win one of those 2 games, it's the Chargers. And then they're on the road. So look, they had the Raiders the other night, and they almost lost it. But still, Chiefs, late December games, nobody's winning those games. Nobody's winning those games. That's why it's crazy that Burrow beat him. That's how hard it is. Who's winning in Green Bay late in December? Who do they play? They played us. They played the 49ers last week, and then they're on the road, and then they're home against the Saints and home against the Bears. I guarantee you the Saints or Bears are not beating the Packers at home. These are games that can't be won by anyone unless it's like Mahomes or Burrow. You're talking about an elite quarterback, and maybe they would win. They might lose those games too. These are not winnable games. So this cold weather narrative is a little off to me. I think that this is true. I think if you want to win late in December, it's harder to run in cold weather, so you can't be as fast. That's true, right? You saw it tonight in the Monday night game, in the Sunday night game. Okay, that's for sure true. It's harder to run. Okay, it's harder to run quicker routes. You can't create space if you're fast wide receivers like Waddle and Tyreek. And this goes for all the teams. This isn't an advantage for a team that's a winter team. Maybe they're used to the cold because they train in it. But dude, we went head to head with the Bills twice in Buffalo in December and January. One with a backup quarterback. This narrative that they don't play well in cold weather, that's not what it is. It's about who has a better running game late in the year with a power running back that can kind of run downhill. Miami's run game, they're good. We have great running backs, don't get me wrong. They're very fast. But it's harder to juke and cut through open holes in the run game when it's snowing or it's icy. That's why you need like a Derrick Henry. That's why Derrick Henry is so big that he might be the reason they can go deep into the playoffs and maybe go to the Super Bowl this year. Same thing with why the Eagles added Saquon Barkley. You got to add a guy to complement Achane and Jalen Wright. Someone who's tough, someone who can pound the ball on 3rd and 1 in Green Bay. You score a touchdown there, and all of a sudden it's 20, what is it? Then we're down 8. It's 26-18. All of a sudden it's 26-18, assuming we get the 2-point conversion. It's 26-18 with 5 minutes or 6 minutes left to go. Momentum on our side, and after the horrible first half, down 24-3, you have a chance to tie it in Green Bay. Just if you have a running back that can pound it in. We were down 24-3, right? You come back, and it is we're down 24-3 at half, right? Correct. Why am I blanking on what happened? Oh, boy. There it is. Okay. There it is. It's 24-3 at halftime. They go up 27-3, right? We get a touchdown, 27-11. They punt, and on downs, if we score there, we go up 27-19 if we get the 2, and then we're down 1 score. That's what happened, man. That downs killed us. Killed us. That's what killed us, man. You need a power running back. And we need a linebacker, someone who's tough. Someone who doesn't play soft. Taking a shot, maybe, at Brooks. But you know what I mean? We haven't had one of those middle linebackers that can like really stop the run. I mean, dude, Jacobs killed us. You got to have a good run defense in these winter games too. I mean, look, James Cook killed the 49ers. You think that if Miami has to play in Buffalo and it's snowing, you think we're going to stop James Cook right now? Our defense can't stop the run. We can't stop the run. That's one of the weaknesses on this defense. We don't have a defensive end that gets 15 sacks a year either. We haven't had that for a while either. That's something we need to work on, which I'm not going to go into the offseason and go that far ahead because, like I said, I still believe and I think we have a great chance to win out, and I don't know what that means. You know, do we need help now? Yes. Now, before the Green Bay game, we controlled our own destiny. But now we need help, okay? And I still think we could win out. But going forward, I think next year you want someone to complement Devon Achane and Jalen Wright. And if Mostert is still there, just someone who's a power running back that can bulldoze a 3rd and 1 situation where we don't have to get creative and do a fullback dive that only works twice and then gets stopped every time after that. This isn't a cold weather thing. And it's not even about being tough. It's just personnel late in the year. You need a team that can stop the run and a team that runs the ball very well. And we were running the ball very well before, but not when your linemen don't move well. It's harder to tackle. You need that Derrick Henry. You need that Saquon Barkley. You need those guys who can just like pound the ball. Remember Ricky Williams back in the day? He would dominate those Bills games in the snow. He had one of his greatest games ever against the Bills. Ran for like 200 yards. I think we were like a win away from maybe making the playoffs. We never made it with Ricky Williams. But I'm not giving up yet, man. I know a lot of you guys are mad. Maybe you're mad at McDaniel. Guy's 42, right? He's 42, 43. It's his third year. He's only going to get better. He's gotten better at coaching every year too. You're not realizing it because we start off hot and then got cold, and then this year we started off cold and then we kind of picked up a little bit of momentum. We're 5-7. We were 2-6. We're right in it, dude. We're right in it with a little help. All right? It's not over yet. I know we're 2 games back, but a lot can happen, okay? Look at it like this. The Colts are 6-7. They lose one more, we're out of it. They're out of it. Denver, Baltimore, if they end up with 10-7, we get the tiebreaker. Baltimore's schedule, let's go through it. They're 8-5. They have the Giants next week, then they have the Steelers, and then they have the Texans, and then they have the Browns. They definitely could lose 2 more games. Will they? I don't know. And I don't think they will. But they could lose 2 more games. But I don't think they will. And I'm not really worried about the Ravens. That's the outside shot team. Denver, though, on the other hand, has the Colts next week. This is a late window game. This is a big game. You got to assume whoever wins this is going to make the playoffs. I don't know who we want to win. I haven't really figured it out yet. But if the Colts win, they're 7-7. We'll get back to that. Because now can the Colts maybe get the division. But the Broncos, if they fall to 7-6 and lose a game, they have the Chargers the next week, and then the Bengals and the Chiefs. They definitely could lose 2 more games. Even if they beat the Colts, I think they could lose 2 more games. If the Chiefs have to play the last game of the season because the Bills are right on their tail, they're going to want to beat the Broncos because they're going to want that 1 seed bye. We need the Bills and Chiefs to keep winning so that the Chiefs have to beat the Broncos at the end of the year, and that's their second loss. Not to mention the Broncos have to go to the Cincinnati and play the Bengals, who are officially eliminated, but they're going to want to play a spoiler and want to beat a rookie quarterback. And then you have the Broncos, Chargers. They cancel each other out. That helps us. Because who do the Chargers have? Well, they have the Chiefs this week. Add a 5th loss to the Chiefs. Add a 5th loss to the Chargers. If the Chargers lose to the Chiefs, they have 5 losses. Then they have to host the Bucs, who are not an easy team to beat. And then they play the Broncos. Let's say they beat them. Then they both have 5 losses going into that game. Maybe the Broncos have 6, who knows. But then one of them will have 6. And then the Chargers have Patriots, Raiders. They'll probably win those. So I'm not really focusing on the Chargers. That's a little bit more far-fetched. But Houston, hear me out. Houston has a bye week and then they play the Miami Dolphins. If we beat them, we give them a 6th loss. Then they play the Chiefs. That's a 7th loss. Then they play the Ravens and then the Titans. So if the Colts win out and have the same amount of losses as the Texans, they still won't make it because Texans beat them twice. Well, so much for that scenario. We need the Broncos to lose twice. That's what it is. We need the Colts to lose once and the Broncos to lose twice. Can that happen? Very much, it can. I would say that if you're a fan, you want the Colts to beat the Broncos, and then you hope that the Colts lose one of those 3 games, which they'll be favored in all 3. The Titans, Giants, and Jags. Can you imagine if the Colts went to the playoffs? I still got to believe, man. I still got to believe. You know? But I'm not going to give up yet. I know that a lot of you guys want to. This squad deserves one more year. Greer, McDaniel, they deserve one more year. We're close. And I know you think we're not close, but hey, man, the Bengals are 4-8. Sometimes it's an off year. But when you have a system and you have an environment that is built to win like this, we haven't had this before. We have not had this before. We haven't had this in 20 years. We had this with Marino and Jimmy Johnson, and we kind of had a little bit of it with Wannstedt and Jay Fiedler. They're like, oh, you still got a great defense. This Jay Fiedler guy can manage the game. He, he can get you in field goal range. I think when Fiedler was on the team, we had the most field goals we ever kicked in a season with Alindo Mari, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But, right, we made the playoffs 2 years with Jay Fiedler. Then we're like, man, if we had a really great running back, then we got Ricky Williams, and then the next 2 years, we didn't make the playoffs, and then that was the end of it. And then then it's 2003, and then it's Brady time. And then for the next 25 years, we've been in mediocrity. We've never even really we had maybe 2 winning seasons. Then you bring in Greer. He was part of the organization already, but then we drafted Tua. It's really, since Tua got drafted, we've had 5 winning seasons in a row. This will be our 5th winning season. I assume we're going to get to 9 wins at the very least, with the 2 Jets and the Browns game. I mean, nothing's guaranteed, but look, unless we lose 2 more games, I see we could have our 5th winning season. So right now we have a winning culture. Yeah, it's disappointing. We didn't make the playoffs or win a playoff game like we wanted to, but it doesn't mean you just blow up everything. Why wouldn't you do something like Baltimore double down? Let's bring in Derrick Henry. Hey, let's bring in some big vet running back that can pound the ball on 3rd and 1s. I don't care if they know. Have a drafted young guy that can sit behind Tua, that has the similar skill set, that can definitely run the offense temporarily if Tua gets hurt. Or bring in a vet backup like Kirk Cousins, or Daniel Jones, someone that you could win with if you have a really strong run game and the defense steps up and is elite. I don't know what this defense looks like with Bradley Chubb back. I don't know what this defense looks like with Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips and Chop Robinson, and they're all healthy. Is it maybe better? I don't know. But, there's pieces that can be added. I don't know if our safeties are good. I don't watch enough film to tell you, is Javon Holland worth signing for a long contract? Or it was Jordan Poyer a bust for us? I don't know. I didn't know David Long wasn't doing well. I didn't know that. I thought he had a good year last year, and then we cut him. So there's certain things I don't know, and maybe people analyze the game and watch film, and they know better than you or I or any of us fans with these fan podcasts know. But I'm not gonna sit here and start shitting on our GM and our quarterback and our coach when this is the best we've had in so long, and I know that we have a short leash on how much we'll put up with. But like I said, I say this to so many people, for 17 years, Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, or Tom Brady was in the AFC Championship game 17 years in a row. It was something like that. From 2001 to 2017. Something crazy like that. So you basically weren't going to go to the Super Bowl unless you built an extremely talented roster that was a really good defense with a really good all-around offense with like an elite running back and a manageable quarterback that can do pretty good and maybe win some big games. And that's what Tua is. He's not elite, and nobody is going to be elite for the next 10 years. That's locked in. I don't know what you guys are watching, and people are like, that's not true, anything can happen. Okay, when Peyton Manning and Tom Brady were playing and Ben Roethlisberger were playing, there were players who were good temporarily, but your top 5 quarterbacks in the league were those 3 and Phillip Rivers and Drew Brees. Those 5 were the top 5 quarterbacks year in and year out. So right now, when you did have a quarterback and a team break into the Super Bowl and win, it was Eli Manning and a magical run with a great defensive line that beat the Patriots. Or it was Nick Foles on a magical run with the Eagles. Or it was Joe Flacco and the best defense of all time winning a Super Bowl with the Ravens. Very few and in between, okay? there was a Drew Brees Super Bowl, a Flacco Super Bowl, and mostly Brady and Manning and Roethlisberger. Okay? So I don't know who you think is going to come in and beat Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, or Lamar Jackson in the AFC. One of those four guys is going to be in the AFC every year. One of those four. How about this? If you had to bet, hey, you could bet you get a free house. You pick. You get a free home. You get $1 million. You decide right now. $1 million. Would you bet the field, or would you bet that one of those four guys will be in the Super Bowl every year for the next 8 years? What would you bet? For the next 8 years, would you bet the field? And they don't have to win. I'm just saying they have to go. So they have to be one of the two teams in the AFC Championship every year for the next 8 years. The fact that you even Mahomes is even there, I'm betting that. And then I have Lamar, who I think he's earned the right to be established as, considered as one of the greats. 2-time MVP, arguably could be a three-time MVP. They're not going anywhere. They have one of the greatest coaches of all time. He's a great passer. He's going to continue to run the ball. Sure, maybe he gets injured, but the year he gets injured, Burrow's great. Burrow's not going anywhere. He's having an MVP year on a horrible team. He's 4-8, and he's having the best quarterback year of all the quarterbacks. Of all the quarterbacks playing. He's got, what does he have? 27 touchdowns, 4 picks. I don't even think that's right. It's 30 now. He has 30 touchdown passes right now. So you think he's not even you don't think he could win 1 or 2 playoff games? And then let's say something happens with him. Josh Allen, 5 years in a row they've won the division. 5 years in a row, and I think only 1 year he wasn't in the division round. So, I mean, bro, who do you think is going to come in from the draft, and what GM is going to come in and do? What do you think is going to happen? Who's coming in here and is going to change this culture, and all of a sudden, in the next 5 years, you're going to a Super Bowl? What the hell are you guys thinking? What is anyone thinking? You think someone in the next 3 years is going to turn the Miami Dolphins organization around so much that you're beating Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow? Get the fuck out of here, dude. You're out of your mind. You're not. This is our best chance. With a guy who can create one of the best offenses, why wouldn't you keep this squad together and just be like, all right, let's evaluate what we have and figure out how to go into each year with the best team and have a backup plan at quarterback, which has clearly became very important all around the league over the last 4 years. But listen, if you are a little bit more prepared with a better quarterback and you win 2 of those games we lost with the backup, then we're sitting here at 7-5 and we're fine. There's no panicking. There's plenty of games left to get into the dance, and then anything can happen. Yeah, you want to win the division and have a home playoff game. That's really what we have to do. We have to figure out how to win the division. And you're not going to win the division until you beat Josh Allen. And the Josh Allen thing has nothing to do with the weather because we play in Buffalo early in the year. We have to beat Buffalo, and we did 2 years ago. We did in that heat stroke game. And then we started off 8-3. And that was the year we really should have tried to win the division because we had a tiebreaker over the Bills. Last year, we were 9-3. They had beat us. It came down to where, we had to beat them to win the division. You don't want to be in that situation. You want to win that early Buffalo game. Whether it's in Miami or Buffalo, just beat Buffalo. Find a way. You build this team. Right now, they've won the division 5 years in a row. So going forward, you need to do whatever you have to do to beat Buffalo because that's the only thing that stops you from winning the division. If you're Miami, you have a good enough team to beat any of these other teams throughout the year, especially if you're at home. Okay? Sure, there's going to be some tough road games in cold weather, but if they're not the Chiefs, the Ravens, or the Bills, or the Packers, it's not that big of an issue. Okay? I'm not... Here's to prove my point, watch the Cleveland and New York game. We end the year, both of those games will be below 40 degrees. So then what? So if we win those, then the cold weather narrative's gone? Or does it go back to, just beating good teams? late in the year. That's what it comes down. It goes back to beating a good team late in the year. But if you can beat Buffalo, that's the biggest issue. They've won like 12 of their last 13 against us. That can't be a thing. You got to beat Buffalo. So you got to build a defense that can stop him. Because you have an offense that can keep up. You have the offense. I have it right here. Two times we played them, 34-31. And then another time, 32-29. Not to mention the third game of the season last year. 21-21, back and forth. They ended up winning 49-28 or something, right? They killed us. But in that first quarter, we were going back head-to-head, 21-21. And then a cornerback makes a mistake. You have one of those cornerbacks just lollygagging around. I forget who it was. Maybe it was Xavier Howard. Someone got killed by Diggs. And then it just got out of control. But it was always defensively. It's defensively not stopping Allen. You got to find a way how to contain him. He's just that good. I mean, dude, he's making MVP plays. He's MVP this year. He's arguing. He could argue that he's MVP is what I'm trying to say. So, I mean, this isn't a coaching issue. This isn't a Tua issue. This isn't a front office issue. This is the Buffalo Bills own the division, figure out how to beat them early on in the year, and then run it back. Because with a healthy team, with a healthy quarter, with a healthy Tua, we're gonna be competitive. You know? I don't know. I'd love to know your thoughts. Let me know. Comment. Like and subscribe. Like I said, I want to help build this channel. I'll be back next week to talk about, the Jets game. Hopefully it's good news. But if it's not, maybe then that's a relief for us. Maybe we can focus on the future. And then maybe if we did lose that, we can talk about some crazier topics. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that you're going to see this people are going to be frustrated. And then you're going to get happy when the football season starts again, because next year we'll start off hot again, assuming Tua doesn't get hurt. And it will be the same scenario. Can they win late in December? And that's not a cold weather thing. It's just been a Miami Dolphins thing for 40 years. I don't know, man. But don't give up on this team yet. We don't give up until there's a reason to give up, when the season's over. But right now we're still in it. And that's what I always tell other people who are fans of teams. I go, listen, you just want to be sitting there around Christmas time and say, hey, if we win this, we're in. That's fun. That's what you want. All right. I'm out. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, the recap of the Miami Dolphins. Stop talking shit about your team. I don't know. Who are you guys comparing our GM to? That's one that bothers me. Oh, Greer sucks. How do you know? What GM do you know? Because are you following those teams the same way? All right, go just pull up 5 other teams and give me their draft picks over the last 5 years. And if they are all way better than what Greer's drafted, then you have an argument. Or what free agents have they brought in? What you want to argue that the Chiefs GM's better? No, why? Because he has Mahomes. What about the Bengals GM? What about the Jets GM who got fired? What about the Patriots GM? What about the Bills GM who made all those moves and got rid of those players? I guess he's good. How do you know, unless you're a diehard fan of those teams, how do you know what moves they're making? And how, someone show me that, compare that. Because I think Greer's done a pretty good job. You're just such a fan of the team that you want a scapegoat. You're like, who do we blame? I don't want to blame Tua because you love him. I don't want to blame McDaniel because I love him. So I'll blame Greer because I don't really care or know him. I think he's done a great job building this team. We got a very exciting team. We haven't been in this situation. He put us in this situation. With draft capital and trades, he's the reason we have this team. And you guys are like, let's get rid of him. He's the reason we have Mike McDaniel, and we didn't hire a different guy. He could have hired anyone he wanted. He went with McDaniel. He chose Mike McDaniel. He chose Tua. Do you want him? You still mad that he didn't choose Herbert? Get over it. It's 5 years. Herbert hasn't won a playoff game either yet. Will he win one this year? I don't know. Yeah, now he's got Harbaugh. Yeah, who doesn't want Harbaugh? He's one of the greatest coaches of all time. Of course, I would love to have Harbaugh. But right now we got McDaniel. I think he's fun. I think he's great. And I want to run it back with this team. And I think you should too. I think you should really take a look at yourself inside and really ask yourself, am I just emotional and my heart is broken and I'm angry, so I'm looking to blame? Or do I actually know what I'm talking about? And I've done the research like I did with the cold weather games. Do your research and come back to me and tell me why Greer's a bad GM. Tell me why. Because he didn't re-sign Robert Hunt? Because he traded Christian Wilkins, who got injured for the whole year? Because Zach Sealer's a Pro Bowler? And Calais for $1 million? That seems like a great deal. He can't control that Jalen Phillips has gotten hurt 2 years in a row, or that Chubb got hurt. You know what I mean? He brought in these pieces. He brought in Ramsey. He drafted Javon Holland. He brought in Jordan Poyer, who didn't turn out. We didn't know he wasn't going to be his. He's a good leader. He brought those guys in, all right? He brought in Teron Armstead. He brought in Austin Jackson, who's hurt now, but turned out to be mid and fine. And he brought in Brewer, the new center, for way cheaper, who's playing, if not better, than what Connor Williams was last year. Isaiah Wynn coming back. That's our new left guard. So really, has he done... Yeah, Robert Hunt was probably one that frustrated me. But making Christian Wilkins your highest paid player, it would have been something that we would have been stuck with financially. I don't know if it would have been a good idea. Yeah, he was the heart of our defense, but I think ultimately that's too much money. You should have a lot of your money in your cornerbacks because it's a passing league. So, I don't know. Look at the running backs we've drafted. They're great. Jalen Waddle, great. So, I don't know. That's all I got to say.